Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Reiser. We are following breaking news out of Texas. A jury has returned a guilty verdict, murder, against the teen charged with the fatal stabbing of another athlete at a high school track meet in 2025. Carmelo Anthony was 17 when he was charged with the murder in the death of Austin Metcalf. Anthony's defense team insisted the stabbing was a case of self-defense following a confrontation between the two teens inside a team tent when it was raining at the track meet. Texas prosecutors called it murder plain and simple. The jury was allowed to consider a lesser charge of manslaughter. They took about 3 hours to deliberate and did return that guilty verdict for murder. The jury will now decide the sentence. In most states, it's up to a judge, but in Texas, the defendant has the option to have the jury decide that. That is what Anthony chose. And for murder, that carries 5 to 99 years or life in prison.
The teenager who fatally stabbed a fellow student during a high school track meet in Texas was sentenced tonight to 35 years in prison. It came just hours after a jury found 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony guilty. The case inflamed racial tensions and gained national attention as people gathered outside the courthouse, prompting a heavy police presence. Austin Metcalf from a rival high school was killed in April of last year near Dallas. Anthony's attorneys argued the stabbing was self-defense.
Greetings from the east to north to south. And this wicked-ass place. The topic, the verdict, the questions. Why you think no one was surprised at this verdict? Neither black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, Iranian, Chinese, Japanese, a dog, a cat, or even a damn raccoon. Let's get into it. I'm your host. I am the one.
Okay, here's what I think. How many devils do it take to convict a black man? 1. But yet they had 12. There's nobody in America was naive enough to think that they would come back with a not guilty verdict. Nobody. One of the things that this racist ass country does is stack the deck against you to ensure an outcome that they want. So this was done on purpose. Now, if you can remember back in the, well, I know you don't, but when Emmett Till was murdered, some of the people on the jury said the verdict was already done. They've already decided what they was going to do. They was going to come back with a not guilty verdict. So it's the same in this case. They say this case took 3 hours. Well, in reality, this case did not take 3 hours. When these good Christian white devils went into the chambers, or wherever the place they go to determine a verdict, their minds was already made. They just sat there for 3 hours to eat lunch because their verdict was already made. This verdict comes as no surprise to anyone in America. You hear these good Christian white folks say, yes, the verdict was just and fair. You got a president who's a piece of garbage that need to be prosecuted because he's a member of the Epstein clan. What a perfect word. He's a member of the Epstein clan, but he was never prosecuted at all. They got mounds and mounds and mounds of evidence against him, but yet, no charge. No charge. But what this good Christian white society expect black people to do is to take a bunch of garbage from the devil. This was sent out a so-called message that regardless of what they do to you, you must take it. It ain't going to happen. It's simply not going to happen. One thing that we realize is we know the outcome. If you stand there and take it, you're going to either, one, be put in a grave, or two, go to jail. Because when you go to the court system, you can forget it. You're going to lose. My mind is already made up. It is what it is. Okay, let me get my points. This country wants a new brand of slavery. And they're going to do it by any means necessary. They're going to enslave you regardless. If you sneeze on the sidewalk, it's going to be a crime. You know, if you walk too fast, or crime. Because they want to reinstitute slavery. And they're going to do it by any means necessary. And for all you people that think that you have good Christian white friends, those 12 walked into the chambers with their minds already made up. I can guarantee all 12 Christians. You know, we don't have no friends. I'm pretty sure there's a couple Hispanics on that jury. They like to classify themselves as white. So we have no friends. Now, to my Israelite brothers, that's Mexican and Hispanic, I hope you know better than that. One thing about it is we cannot supersede what the Most High said. So, regardless of the fact, my Hispanic and Mexican Israelite brothers and sisters, the Most High say it is, so it is. I'm not stupid enough to argue with that. When you classify yourself as white and you go against true law, you're a piece of garbage. And that's a fact. Now, one other thing I want to say before I go to the next clip is that in this country, we just accept what is dead wrong. We can see with clear vision that is wrong. But what do? We accept it. Blacks in this country have absolutely no might whatsoever. But supposedly this is a good Christian country. Before I go to the next clip, I'm going to tell you a story. And all you Christians in the South, good Christian white folks, you should know this story. David the king wanted to get with Bathsheba, Uriah's wife. He looked out the window one day. David said, "Whoo, she's fine." Long story short, David said, "I want her." One of his boys said, Hey, wait. Is that not the wife of Uriah the Hittite? He said, "Yeah, okay, it is." But he said, "I got to have her." So he had Uriah killed. Uriah was in the army. So what David did was send him in the heat of the battle where he knew he would get killed. Now, telling you that long story just to say this. In Samuel chapter 12, 1st or 2nd Samuel, he said the thing that David had did was displeasing in the eyes of the Lord. What did he say? He said, "What you have done displeased me." And what the Most High did was cursed him and his family. People start to die. People start to turn against him because of what he have did. The story goes on to say, wait a minute now. Uriah just had the one wife. David had many wives. Uriah just had that one young, beautiful woman. And he was happy with her. He didn't have a lot. He just had that. The black race don't have a lot in this country. We just have a little. And it's good, big, bad Christian white men have the whole country. And he'd rather stomp on the poorest people in this country He'd rather incarcerate the poorest people in this country, and the Most High is watching you. Now, whatever that devil that lied on him, his twin brother, I don't even want to call his name. You just curse your family. You just curse your mom. You just curse your kids. You don't know what you just did. And I see that guilty look in your face when you stood before the camera. You will send somebody to prison knowing that that devil brother of yours was dead wrong. And you know he was wrong. But guess what? You would rather send this young man to jail for 35 years. The Most High is watching you. And you watch and see. You have just cursed yourself and your family. Let's go to the next clip.
Murder, they saying murder, they saying murder. They saying murder, they saying no manslaughter, they saying murder. I thought it was manslaughter too. I thought it was manslaughter too. They saying guilty of murder on Fox right now. They saying guilty of
in my head, I gotta sit there and fight it too. Right. No, you're not. So
Texas has stand your ground law, penal code 9.31, 9.32. He had no reason to retreat. You don't have to retreat. Understand your ground. He had a right to be there. He was not the aggressor. This whole thing been racist. It was supposed to be a public court. They had a private court, all white jury.
One thing that we don't seem to understand is that the white man's laws are not for you. No, it's not for you. This is a man that went over, cross continents, stole you, make you suffer for that 180 day trip, and then he took you from the ships and he sold you. Okay, and then he made you work from sun up to sundown, and all the sexual abuse. And guess what? If you rose up against him, that would be considered a crime. If you ran away, that would be considered a crime and heavily punished. Man, you're dealing with the devil. Thank you for watching. I am your host. I am the one.